There is a way of living the old Diné describe in 3 quiet words. Walking in beauty, the first time you hear it, it sounds soft, almost like something you say to a person at the door on their way out. It is not soft. It is one of the hardest and steadiest things a person can try to do with a life. And tonight, I want to sit with you a while and take my time and tell you what they really meant by it. When the Diné say beauty, they are not talking about a pretty face, or a fine blanket, or a good sunset. The word reaches wider than that. It means a life that is whole, a life in balance. You, standing in right relation to the land under your feet, to the people around your table, to the day you woke into this morning. Health lives inside that word. So does peace. So does doing the thing you know is right when it would be easier to do the other thing. All of it is folded into one idea. So when an old one wishes beauty on you, hear what is being wished, not a nice afternoon. Your whole life brought back into balance and kept there. Here is where people go wrong with it. They hear the word beauty and they picture decoration. A clean house, a tidy yard, something pleasant to look at. That is not this. Beauty, the way the elders meant it, is a relationship kept in order. You and the earth, you and your family, you and your own heart. A plain life that is in balance carries more of it than a rich life that has fallen out of balance. The man who has little and is at peace with what is around him is walking in beauty. The man who has everything and is at war with all of it is not. It was never about what you are holding in your hands. It was always about how you are standing on the ground. The old people had a way of speaking about this that I have carried my whole life. They spoke of beauty as something all around a person. Beauty in front of you. Beauty behind you. Beauty above and below and on every side of you. It was a way of standing in the world. You set your feet and you turn slow, and everywhere you look there is something holding you up. The mountains that were here long before you. The sky that will be here long after. The ones who walked this same ground and wore it smooth enough for you to walk it easy. I will not say the old words the way they belong in other rooms and for other purposes. That is not mine to hand out. But I can give you the shape of them. A person standing in the middle of everything that is, and knowing, all the way down in the chest, that they are not alone in it, held on every side. That is the feeling the words were built to give a person, not that the world is safe, that the world is with you. Now I have to be honest with you, because the teaching itself is honest. No one keeps this without losing it. Nobody walks in beauty every single day of their life. Grief knocks you clean off the path. So does anger. Sickness does it. A hard winter does it. A long season where nothing goes the way you needed it to. The Diné understood our troubles in this way, not always as a punishment sent down on us from somewhere, often as something simpler and truer. You have fallen out of balance. Something between you and the world has gone crooked, and until it is set right, you will not feel whole. You will feel scattered, pulled in pieces, a little lost inside your own days. You know the feeling. I know it too. There is no shame in it. It is part of being a person who is still alive. Let me tell you the kind of story the old ones would tell here to show you how it goes. There was a man who was wronged. It does not matter now how. Someone took something from him that he could not get back, and the anger of it settled into him like cold into a bone. At first the anger felt like strength. It stood him up in the morning. But a hard heart is a heavy thing to carry, and he carried it into every room. He carried it to his wife, who had done nothing. He carried it to his children, who learned to go quiet when he came in. He carried it to work that he used to love, and the love went out of it. He was still walking. But he was not walking in beauty. He had wandered a long way off the path, one cold day at a time, and the worst part was this. He no longer noticed he had left it. That is how it takes you. not all at once, a little at a time, until the crooked thing starts to feel straight. But here is the very heart of the teaching, and it is the reason I wanted to tell you any of this. Falling out of balance is not the end of the story. It was never meant to be the end. The old teaching, the one carried in what they call the blessing way, is that a person can be brought back into balance, back into beauty, back into right relation with the world around them. And not one time only, as many times as a life requires it. This is the part I want you to keep. Beauty is not a place you reach one time and then own forever, like a thing you put on a shelf. It is a road. You walk it and you wander off of it and you find your way back onto it again. The wandering off is not the failure. The walking back is the whole practice. That is why the path we talk about on this channel is called a good one. Not because a person never leaves it, because a person can always return to it. And hear this, because it matters. You are not always brought back alone. This is something the old way understood that we have half forgotten. When a person falls out of balance, it is often the people around them who walk them back. A wife who does not give up on a hard man, a daughter who keeps the door open, an old friend who says the true thing you did not want to hear. The elders knew that balance is not only something you carry inside yourself, it lives between people. It is held in a family, in a community, in the ones who keep singing you back toward the center when you have drifted. So the man in the story was brought back. Slow. Not by a lightning strike, but by a granddaughter who climbed into his lap one evening and was not afraid of him, and something in the cold began, at last, to thaw. And when the drifting was deep, the old way did not leave it to chance. The people would gather. They would come and sit with the one who had lost their footing, and remind them, more by their presence than by their words, who they were and where they belonged. I will not describe the sacred parts of that, because they were never made for a screen. But you can hold the plain truth underneath it and use it in your own life tonight. When someone you love has wandered off the path, you do not stand where you are and shout at them across the distance. You go to them. You walk beside them a while, at their pace, until they remember the way back on their own. That is old medicine. It still works, and it costs nothing but your time and your patience. Think of how the land itself does this. The season turns cold and hard, and everything looks finished, and then the light comes back, and the ground softens, and it all begins again. Nobody stands at the edge of winter and calls it a failure. It is part of the turning. A life is the same. You will have your winters. The teaching does not ask you to never have them. It asks you to trust that the turning back is real, and to take the step toward it when the time finally comes. So what does that step look like on an ordinary day for you and for me? Smaller than you would think. It looks like meeting the morning before you reach for the phone, before the whole loud world is in your hands and your eyes are barely open. Just one breath where the day is still yours. It looks like speaking to the people in your house as if your words stay in the room after you have gone, because they do. They stay a long time. Children keep them for years. It looks like doing your work without cutting the one corner that would put you at odds with yourself, the corner only you would ever know about. It looks like setting the hard heart down at the door before you carry it inside to people who did not earn it. It looks like mending the small thing before it becomes the big thing. A word said sorry while it is still easy to say. None of this is grand. None of it would ever make a story worth telling around a fire. And every small piece of it is walking in beauty. That is the secret the old ones knew and lived. The balance is not kept in the large moments. It is kept in the small ones, quietly, over and over, until the small ones become the shape of your whole life. And I think people feel the lack of this now. Even people who live far from the Diné, even people who have never once heard the word for it. Someone wrote to us here and said, "Harmony should be our treasure. Humans need harmony." And they are right. When a person loses their balance with the world around them, something quiet goes out of them, and they can feel it going even if they cannot put a name to it. When a whole people loses it, you can watch it happen slowly over the years in the way they treat the land and each other. The teaching is old, but the hunger it speaks to is not old at all. It is as new as this morning, and it is sitting in a great many houses tonight, in people who have everything they were told to want, and still cannot understand why they feel so scattered inside. That feeling is not a flaw in you, it is a signal. It is the part of you that still knows what balance feels like, telling you that you have drifted from it. The old people would not have called that a sickness to be ashamed of. They would have called it the first honest step home. So let me leave you the way the old ones leave you, not with an answer, with a question, to carry out the door and keep. Where, in your own life, have you fallen out of balance? And what would it take, tomorrow, not to fix all of it at once, but to take one honest step back toward the center? Maybe it is a phone call you had been putting off. Maybe it is a morning you meet on purpose. Maybe it is a hard heart you finally set down. You do not have to be Diné to ask yourself that. The road is wide enough for anyone honest enough to walk it. Take whatever helped you here tonight and make it stronger in your own life, in your own way, among your own people. If this stayed with you, walk the good path with us and stay a while. And remember what the old ones say when they have finished telling you something true. And those are the things we are told.